Hello everybody and welcome to Board Auto Studio and part 2 of my little mini-series of me making a microscope stand. In this part we are going to jump into 3D, and of course when you're doing 3D on a computer you need to start off in Illustrator. Yeah, okay, not really, you don't really need to start off in Illustrator. But why I am starting off in Illustrator is because I want to have a base drawing for my microscope. Due to the fact that I have chosen to have a slightly complicated setup or slightly or complicated shape for the base plate, at least for the microscope. It's easier to create that shape in Illustrator than it is to create it in the software that I'm going to use for the 3D, which is 123D Design. Autodesk 123D Design, to be more precise. Um, this isn't a perfect method because Illustrator it is not a program meant to do 3D drawings or print out 3D um, technical drawings at all. So it will be a few bugs and whatnot here that I'm going to address later on. But first, on to the drawing. At first here, I kind of noticed that the proportions that I had set up at first didn't really work. The piece didn't come out looking the way I wanted it to, so I made it a bit narrower and a slightly longer. I think I did. So yeah, that's the that's the base bit that I made here. Just took a couple of minutes and not too much time. Just draw a few lines and mash them together. However, the thing that took time here in Illustrator was the size of the microscope. Weirdly enough, because I wanted this to look a little bit less boring than it could do, and a little bit more, like it was made by someone who's a little more creative, and of course this wouldn't really be able to sell really well because it's not that really well. Uh, it isn't quickly producible and or can't produce it quickly. So it's really a make a kind of microscope stand with more the person making it in question in regard not putting it strictly in production. If I were going to put this in production, somehow this would be a much much simpler design really. But anyway, what I try to do here is trying to make a mold or form for the side stands on a microscope, and unfortunately, with the shape mashing or the yeah, that's what I'm going to call it, shape mashing. Here in Illustrator, it didn't really go very well with the triangles and the supports that I made from here. Why? Well, the triangles are the shape is pointing, or what I should say, in the wrong direction for the for Illustrator to recognize it as a shape that could be mashed in the way that I wanted to. And unfortunately, I ran into a bit of a problem here, and I only realized how I could have made it simpler for me when I started editing this. What I should have done instead of making the triangles, or possibly make the triangles, but then do squares in between the triangles, the little in between spaces that you can see here, and those would have mashed up perfectly, or they would have combined perfectly with the other shapes that I'm trying to combine it with here. But unfortunately, with the triangles, it didn't work. So in the end, I used a weird combination of technique of where I used all the lines in the drawing for this, and then just picked the areas that I needed to extrude in the 3D software and extruded those. Of course, it wasn't pretty, but it worked. And uh, and also another bit that you may find a bit silly is the fact that I didn't use this design at all in the final product. So why make it? Well, I just felt like I could do it. I had time on my hands, so I just did this for the design exploring purposes. Just exploring the design, seeing what worked, what didn't work, and yeah, if it did work, then fine. If it didn't work, well, then I had learned something. So in other projects where you may not have that much time, you may have to lock the design a bit earlier. But for this, I just made a few and varying designs in order to have something to try on. And right now, I am saving the designs to a SVG file. Some files, I think they're called. Yeah, that's what we call SVG. And those are primarily used for shapes in HTML, I think web design, and they also work very well for technical drawings. But as I said, this Illustrator it's not made for technical drawings at all. You can make something that looks like it, but unfortunately, it will not export it properly. It won't export SVGs in the metric or the American. What's it called? Sorry, America, you're kind of behind on the measurement system. Uh, is it called isometric? No, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't really produce the drawings in the style that engineers want to, or uh, industrial science alike. It produces the designs in pixel or point mode, which means that the designs will be completely off when you import it into any sketching software such as 123D or SketchUp or something. So what you need to do in order to fix this is to scale the drawings down to a size that actually will be more or less precise. This process isn't as precise as it could be, but it works well enough for projects like this. Of course, this doesn't work at all for major production, but major producers of major production products use professional software such as AutoCAD, Inventor, SolidWorks, or CATI or something, which is a lot simpler to do something like this. But for me, I'm just going to use this because it's a bit cheaper. So anyway, back to the design here. I'm trying to use some straight lines here in order to create some stability for the platform. But since I'm using very curvy lines over the microscope stand otherwise here, so I decided to curve up the struts here a little bit. And also, what you can see me do there to try to flip the lines on the y-axis is there is a flip button somewhere in the edit menu, but unfortunately I didn't find it until afterwards. But yeah, there is a button for you to do it. You just need to look for it a little bit. So you don't have to manually try and flip it. You can do it automatically. And here, due to the fact that I didn't use any shapes, I just used lines. I had to manually remove all the lines afterwards. So all the surplus lines outwards, I should say. Yeah, not much more I can say about that really. Uh, yeah, I suddenly ran out of things to say. I don't know, which is weird. I shouldn't be able to do that. Anyway, I need a sip of tea. Still have a cold. Ugh. But anyway, yeah, one thing I can tell you about this is the fact that you need to watch out for these small hiccups. There's always small lines and small points that you need to remove in order for this to work properly. If you leave all those nasty little lines in, they will they will just create problems. And here you can see me trying to import the sketch into 123D, but unfortunately I hadn't scaled down it yet, so I needed to jump into Illustrator once again, create first of all just uh, uh, calculate what I needed to do. I needed to scale up or down these sketches, and then create a new document and try and scale them down. Because unfortunately, it didn't scale down properly in the 123D. I don't know why. Probably being a bit tired when I did it, so I probably just didn't input the correct input numbers. So that's probably it. But just a quick thing here in Illustrator, and it just takes what 5 minutes for these sketches, and yeah, it's not that big of a deal. For this at least. And here you can see there's a few big problems. The darker blue areas that were created by these little leftover lines that were unfortunately left in the rendered sketch. So yeah, the sketch see me here is the base sketch for the size, the base extrusion, and he's the cutout for the base, the small cutouts, the triangles, and the other ones with struts, and you'll soon see the bubbles. Once again, don't try and do as many designs as this unless you have time on your hands in order to do it, because it will just be a night before you to try and create it, because anything can happen with your software crashing, your computer crashing, or something else come along, and suddenly you have wasted time on something that you won't be appreciated for. So, and you also have wasted time on something you shouldn't, you weren't really hired for in the beginning. In a way, yes, you were hired in order to create new designs, in order to create something that's sellable for a client, but focus on primarily focus on what's really important, which is the which is the main functions that the employer has employed you for, and try to do the secondary ones later. But if you can make something that's a bit more secondary, it takes a little bit more time, and it has a wee bit of a redundancy to it in order for the project, then do it, because the employees will be impressed by saying, "Oh, you can produce a lot of designs, and we have lot of things to choose from. We will hire you again." But yeah, it's just be careful. Be careful of your time management. You can't spend time on everything. You just spend as much time as you need, and spend the time doing what's actually needed for the project in the first hand. Well, of course, if the specific your employees specifically requires you to do this, then of course start producing. But time management. But anyway, here I'm trying to extrude the bubbles. But unfortunately, I realized that I hadn't made a backup base for this, so I didn't want to extrude this again. So redo, copy paste the base extrusion, and then redo the bubble extrusion. So yeah, here I'm trying to select the bubbles, but it didn't really work. So manual select everything, takes 2 minutes, and then just extrude. So yeah, that was the bubbles, and now we are going to start off with the square struts, I think, in the middle. And unfortunately, my computer crashed sometimes on me, or maybe not my computer, but at least a software crash. And that's a little weird feature in 123D. The sketches are actually the ones who are CPU taxing in this software. Otherwise, it's usually the the 3D itself, the polygons are what is really taxing. But I noticed this in most of all the actual bits that is supposed to hold the microscope later on, that it was so taxing on the computer to have all the sketches up that I just needed to remove them. But it could run perfectly on just the 3D bits, and if you remove the 3D or just hide the 3D and kept the sketches, it will also tax the computer, which is just weird. So yeah, now here's the final piece of the diagonal struts. And as I said, I didn't realize how I could fix this until afterwards. So yeah, you'll see me do a little bit of let's say it ugly for me way of doing this, which is have all the lines in and then just selecting the stuff that needed to be extruded. So yeah, and for this bit, I extruded color parts, made a new object out of them, then moved them to the right place, and then extruded. Uh, you can usually just extrude it and don't make a new part out of it, but you can do multiple things in 123D. Uh, and this thing here, I was actually going or the bits here that I just imported. I thought I would show you in the sketch phase because I actually made them in during the sketching phase just as check out shape, but I find them to be a bit redundant at that point because I hadn't really watched them, so I didn't show them to you. But as you can see, I am trying to fit them to the new base, and unfortunately, due to the fact that this was done in Illustrator first, and then imported to 123D, it didn't fit properly. It's 0.1, 0.2 millimeters wrong somewhere, so it doesn't really fit and connect in the way I wanted it to. So there's a few bits and pieces everywhere that's just overlapping in ways that just isn't pleasing. Fortunately, my 3D printer is so inexact that it didn't show up, but yeah, this is just one of the problems you'll run into when you're trying to do something in Illustrator first and then try to jump into 123D. But yet again, if I just had picked a simpler shape and or had a better software, this would go so much quicker. But yeah, and now it's just I think I'm just refitting, and re-extruding everything that needs to be extruded in order to finish this piece. Let's see how many minutes have we got. 18 minutes, and this is a 24-minute video, so soon done. This is a lot shorter than the last one, thankfully, because I have edited out a lot of bits that were quite redundant. It was me failing and redoing, unfortunately, because yet again the software isn't strong enough to support itself. So yeah, it crashed on me a couple of times. But yeah, this bubble bit here, as I said, this was the one that was chosen after a while. And yeah, it's just extruding, merging, and whatnot, and just make it look pretty. So yeah, that's those are edited, and more copies if I needed to do this again or wanted to do something else with it. So that's the bits, and now I just make a little presentation page. Unfortunately, I didn't find any good way of rendering this in 123D. So I jumped into Photoshop and used the Photoshop 3D features, which worked well enough. It worked well enough for this. It's not the prettiest thing I've seen. This is a lot. You will be able to produce better results if you used something like Blender, Maya, 3D Studio Max, or something. But this was just quick and dirty, just to create something simple, just a small presentation piece, using only one software, and not using multiple softwares that needs multiple setup times and whatnot. Yeah, give it a blue color, made the lights go correctly, and then just finish off the pieces in Photoshop here. And then I sent all these pieces to my father, and he eventually picked the bubbles. Now I'm not going to bore you with the creation of the moving bits of the stand. I'm just going to show them to you just to see how I set it up. I set them up in 123D, and I placed them like this on top of each other in order to fit them together properly. And it was just sketch and extrude until you get it right. However, I am going to show you the knobs that I made. And I'm going to show you because they are small enough to be shown here. And I also want to point out, if you are going to do something like this, create a hole for the nut that is at least 1 millimeter bigger than you have measured on the nut itself, because otherwise it will not fit properly. I've run into this many times with both my own sketches that I have done in 123D, and also stuff that I have downloaded from Thingiverse. The nut holes never have this correct size. So when all that is done, then jump into Cura, slice up all the parts, then just start printing. I used a lay height of 0.3 millimeters, a bed temperature of 50 degrees, since this is PLA, and what more did I use? 1.2 millimeters of thickness, both on the sides and top and bottom thickness. And this is what the whole thing looks like when it's done on a printer. And this is what it looks like when it's just on the plate and comes off the printer. Then it's a final assembly and final manufacture of all the other pieces. You saw me use a soldering iron there with an exact knife on the end. I used it because I was too lazy to pull out my figure saw. So, and I will not recommend it to you. Do not try to make that. It created more job than it diminished. It it was just a hassle. Now I'm trying to smooth the bits. Unfortunately, you can't smooth this with acetone. So I'm trying to smooth it with a heat gun. It worked kind of well until the damn thing sagged. So it was just too much weight on top of it, so it sagged, and here see me trying to save the piece. So unfortunately, I couldn't do it. So after a reprint and reassemble, it was all done, and here is the final result. It looks a little bit scruffy, just because I didn't have time to really finish this off. Unfortunately, it happened too much. But this is the final result. I'm quite happy with it. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe, and I will see you next time here on Board of the Studio. Bye!